afternoon, Yuba Sutter. This is the Yuba Sutter Political Spotlight, and that is going out to our buddy Dennis Hawk.
Dr. Dennis Hawk.
Dr. Dennis Hawk.
He's now no longer the traffic cop. He is the chicken hawk. So, anyways, good job there this week, buddy. That's kind of all I got on that, but I think we'll let the other ones run with it real quick.
I thought you were raising farm animals in there or something.
The Sutter Zoo.
Could be.
I mean, we got roosters, we got bulls, and now we got, well, I say. We are Looney Tunes today.
We are Looney Tunes.
And we got Dave Shaw live. He's going to be here for all 2 hours with us. Just unbelievable. We went and walked for Dave Shaw yesterday.
Who is Dave Shaw?
Who is Dave? Who is Dave Shaw?
Who let the dogs out? Who?
Real quick, I want to say something before we get into Dave Shaw. Is we went out walking for him yesterday. What an awesome response we got from the community. Handing out signs, staking out signs. Everybody was willing to talk to him, wanted to talk to him, find out what his plan was on some of the water issues, some of the garbage issues, and, the stop the dump down in the area we were walking, because we were walking south Yuba City by my house. It's going to be hard to beat the guy. So he's here in studio. How you doing, Dave?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me today.
It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait for this campaign season to really kick off. And, guess what I saw this morning?
What?
I saw the Chuck Buck guy.
Sweet Life.
Yeah, Sweet Life, walking around our neighborhood.
Yeah?
All by him, little lonesome.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's an idea of how many supporters he's got, or whether he thinks it's better to go to every door by himself, or what the deal is. But, yeah. I haven't seen a sign for him in the yard yet, but I have seen him out walking this morning. So,
Well, that's good. Because they won't let him into his own church anymore.
I had to turn around and go back to make sure it was him, because he looked like a little kid with his head down kicking rocks. Just my own. That's my own opinion. That's what I saw, though. It's kind of just.
Do we have a song for Sweet Life?
We actually do. I'll see if I can dig it up.
Okay.
You guys go ahead, and I'll see if I can dig that up real quick, because I know it is somewhere.
So and I was telling Liz before the show, my son only got one door shut on him, but it wasn't because of the candidate. It was just because she opened the door rude. She just didn't want a visitor. She didn't want a visitor. She was just angry to begin with.
Well, that's
she may have been in the middle of something.
Oh, get your mind out of the Sutter gutter.
I thought I was going to get abducted yesterday. I knocked on one door, and the two little kids were like, "There's somebody here! There's somebody here!" So they went. They said, "Hang on!" They ran to get their dad. They're coming back, and they're going, "Hurry up! Open the door! He's going to leave! He's going to leave!"
So funny.
I'm like, I ain't going anywhere, kid. But you're scaring me.
Did you guys, when you were walking, did you upset every dog in District 5? Isn't that amazing?
It's unbelievable.
Everybody I talked to, because we were targeting the full gamut of political party affiliations, as well as no political party affiliations, and wow, the people were very receptive to the things that Dave has on his flyer here. That we would point out his top issues that he's got on the back, and I won't get on because I might. Dave's here in person. He can tell us in his own words, but. That's kind of what we did when we went up to the people. And the statement that I got the biggest and most positive reaction from the whole day was I would tell the people, I said, look, there are 5 council members. 3 of the seats are up for re-election. This is our opportunity to have a changing of the guards. We can change the whole dynamic. We can elect 3 totally new people. Don't vote for the incumbents. Every single person I made that comment to was on board with that.
It's awesome.
They were totally on board with it.
Well, may I just say that Dave, like Chief Justice Brett Kavanaugh, has great hair. I think that's so important for candidates to have great hair.
Do you need a picture on your ballot so that you can vote for the person with the best hair?
Are you telling me I shouldn't run for any office?
I didn't say that.
If you really need a picture,
I think there's a place for you, Bill. Somewhere,
I didn't want to know.
somewhere there's a place for you.
If you really need a picture, we have them in varying sizes from wallets all the way up to 20s by 40 footers.
I saw you on a billboard like twice.
Absolutely.
Coming and going.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we're so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
Yep. So, would you like to tell us about where do you want to start? Do you want to start with your top issues? Do you want to start someplace else?
Probably let's talk about where I come from and why I'm doing this, because that's one thing that really stands out to a lot of people is the fact that I'm not really originally from Yuba City. I've been here about 30 years, grew up on a small farm in southeast Alabama, so I grew up knowing what hard work was all about. Grew up, helping my grandfather run the farm and, being the kid that had to do all the fundraisers in school to go on the trips and go on the trips with the church and such. So, I've come from that background and I know what hard work is all about. Came out here in the Air Force, served in Desert Storm, worked with the Missile and Space Program. And unfortunately, Jason, I can't tell you what I did because it would,
It's classified.
It's classified.
He'd have to kill you.
But anyway, that was a great highlight, and then was very fortunate to join a firm, and my wife and I now own the firm, and we've been in business together for about 30 years here in the local area. We've been very, very blessed, and it's all about relationships in our business. We need to know the people that we're working with, do the best job that we can for them, and at the end of the day, it's those core business values that transcend into why I'm on this little adventure I call running for city council. It's about knowing who you're working with, working together with them, and just simply doing what's right. At the end of the day, it's not about a party affiliation. It's not about someone's opinion. It's really just having the guts to stand up and say, let's do what's right. And just like you said, when we were walking yesterday, people really want to see new leadership. Mm-hmm. They want to see that change of the guards because they've had enough of the same stuff over and over and over. And that's what I bring to the table that's different, is I'm not looking at it from a government employee standpoint. I'm not looking at it from a career politician, which we have many of those right now. I come at it as a businessman. I come at it as a father, as a husband. And I just want to see what we can do in this community to make it better, because I have no dreams of being a career politician. I just simply see a need. I see a way that I can offer expertise up to help make a difference and fix some things, and get this city heading right back in the direction it was when I made the decision to live here 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm. That made me recall when Jason mentioned that John Buckland was out walking neighborhoods, same neighborhood we hit yesterday. And I just can imagine, because I got such a good response when I talked to people about changing of the guards, and then come to find out the very next day they're going to get a knock on the door from the incumbent. I think it's hilarious. But what's interesting is, what's he going to say? It's like, do you want to be force-fed more of the same? And, thank you, sir. May I have another? I mean, that's all he has to offer.
Can you send me to some more basketball games?
I've been in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. I done said the right thing, but it must have used the wrong line. I've been on the right.
That was his theme song.
Show
Yes.
me the money.
Right place, wrong thing to post on your
Facebook
page. Come on, really?
Do we want to give the backstory on that? Because it's interesting. We talk about things like everybody knows. Everybody does not know.
Right.
14 days before, the Recology decided that they had to go out to bid, or the city decided that they had to go out for a bid for Recology.
For a new
trash,
garbage contract.
A new trash service. Republic Services was the other one wanting to bid. Mm-hmm. 14 days before the vote came down to the city council to see if they wanted to do that and do the bid system for another company, which was Republic Services, John Buckland went to a game with Republic Services and sat in their suite and posted it on Facebook that he was at their suite and what a sweet life it was to do this, and then 14 days later voted to let them go ahead and bid for the job that was already being handled well by Recology out in Yuba Sutter Recology.
What a bunch of garbage.
Exactly. If that isn't close to insider trading or taking perks to do for somebody else, I don't know what you would call it. I mean, I really don't know what to call it other than it was underhanded and it was wrong.
Dishonest.
Yes.
Well, now that's not the whole backstory. There's some more connections in the community.
There is, but I mean that's the top skirt of it. But let's. you
So,
wanna get
and there
into-
will be more coming out about this
Yeah.
because the choices at the time were to stay with Recology,
with the rest of the
like
community,
the other community members
Right.
were doing.
which are getting a better deal than
Yeah.
Yuba City.
Yeah, so the choice is, do we stay with Recology like every other local agency, or do we go out to bid and give this company a shot at the garbage contract for Yuba City? So that's when we have 2 weeks prior to that vote of deciding which way to go. We have the posting that says, he, in his words, doing sweet time with Republic Services.
We'll post that on our
is-
Facebook page.
That
He
is
is-
the origin of his nickname, Sweet Life, and it's SUITE, Sweet Life.
Yep.
Because that was his post.
Yep.
Doing sweet time, SUITE, sweet time with Republic Services.
Do you know what he did before that? Before they entered the suite?
He rode on a limo.
Yeah, with a stripper pole, man. Yeah, look it up
I
on
have
my
to
Facebook.
tell
I
you
got
that-
barbecued on that. People were like, "Liz, are you already drinking? Are you drinking?"
Check it out. His wife went with him.
Oh, she was right there next to him.
And what is her job? She's the city clerk.
City clerk.
I thought
Now-
maybe she was the entertainment. That's what that poll was there
Now,
for.
I want to get back to Dave, but real quick, isn't that a little bit of conflict of interest, don't you think, if she's the one handling the election process and handing out and meeting with all the candidates and giving them their papers to sign and pull and all that good stuff, and yet her husband is an incumbent rerunning? I think that'd be just a conflict of interest, just a little bit.
Hey, there's no nepotism here in the Yuba Sutter area.
No. Come on now. Anyways, let's get back to Dave, but I just
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to throw that out there
But it's so
because
fun to talk
you can
about Buckland.
you can have new guys who want to do good for the city, and Dave is leading the pack on that, I think. And or you can go with what we have status quo of can stand is our political point, but
Can Stan
and
and Chuck Buck.
But you can get more of Stan Cleveland, who just gets angry and so mad that he has to calm himself down and close his eyes because we're nothing but an
Meditate.
irritant.
We got to meditate.
Or you can have the guy who wants everything he can get for free.
Right. I think I'd like to have the guy that can safety. He's for safety. He wants to move funds from administration to police, fire, and road repair. He wants to revisit the water and garbage rate increases. He wants to stop the dump, no transfer station in South Yuba City, and no pensions for council members. Snap. That's my guy.
So let's
That sounds like a true public servant.
let's take them out of order if you don't mind, Dave.
Sure.
But I'd like to start with the stop the dump because you were targeted on that, weren't you? That was your baby and that you were going to be sued or something over that. I mean, give us the backstory on that.
Yeah, the backstory to that is the community started up the Stop the Dump Facebook page and the website, and I wasn't the first to sign the petition. I wasn't the one that started it, but I was about 300. I was actually at a rodeo with my daughter, and I got a phone call and says, "Hey, you need to check this out." So I checked it out, and I signed the petition. Along with almost 1,000 other people here in Yuba City. And with that process, people were diving in, trying to find out, well, who's behind it? I want to talk to someone about it. I felt strongly enough about it that I said, sure, go ahead and give these people my name because I knew them personally from the community. And from that point, yes, I did. I received a few letters threatening legal action against me, which I didn't control the Facebook page, website, nothing. I, helped deliver some signs, was a vocal voice for the residents of Yuba City because it was all about process, and that's what we had lost in this. And you talk about things being done forthright. It wasn't being done forthright. There was a particular council meeting that one of the incumbents made the comment when we were talking about the RFP process. And all of a sudden it came across that he would personally like to see a transfer station within the corporate city limits. And about 20 minutes later, the owners of the transfer station here in town got up and stood up and said they would be ready for business January 1 of 19. And we were already very much aware that this process was going on, but it was following the natural progress. There was going to be proper environmental reports, traffic studies, public hearings, everything, to suddenly at one meeting to go, we want one and we're going to be open and ready, and nothing else was said, put it right up squarely on the radar for everyone. And then there was a lot of misinformation that came out from the city that seemed to fit, whatever version the city wanted us to have on whatever day of the week it was. So, during that process, I took a lot of heat, but I felt it was worth it. Spoke before this council, spoke before the planning commission, and I've said from day one, I know what my personal opinion is, and that is I think it's the wrong place, but I'm just one voice. The whole purpose behind that was to give the citizens and the residents of Yuba City a voice. And I told the owners of Recycled Industry, I told them, I said, look, I'm friends with you guys. Go through the process. If you pass all of those and you go through the public hearings and the public says build it, but go through the process. Do not just rubber stamp this thing, green light it through. If it's not, if they want it, build it. If they don't. And overwhelmingly, I heard during that time, don't put it on Epley, put it south of town. But that was just one of the reasons I stood up to the plate to decide to run, was because, here I am, I'm very active in the community, standing up in front of people doesn't bother me. But if they will, put that much pressure on me and try to intimidate me from the council chamber seats and have, letters come to my office and whatnot threatening legal action, what does the average citizen here in the city that just wants, for example, a lighting district put into their neighborhood stand when they go before the council and they're treated this way? Eventually, it just rose up to where enough's enough. Somebody's got to stand up and say, we need to do what's right. We've got to start listening to our residents. We've really got to do what they want and quit telling them what they want, but really listen to them. Yeah. We're a community. And I think that's what's missed in this. We have a council that has taken it upon themselves. Let's go back to a little bit further to the Oroville Dam issue. That was totally a big mess up. That the city said, you don't have to leave, but the county said leave. I kind of went with the county's version because they're higher up the food chain there. And they, with the information coming in, they were right. It was further determined in a grand jury report that Yuba City should not have said you could stay because they come underneath the county's jurisdiction during that time. So it's just been these types of things. You go from the Oroville Dam to pulling ourselves out with the other municipalities to try to negotiate our own garbage contract, and then to fast track a transfer station. There's something wrong.
Well, and going back to the bid on the trash, I always use the power of my company that whenever I'm getting bids for them, that we're doing 5 or 6 of these multifamily projects. We're not doing one. Mm-hmm. And I always get, whenever I get my bids back, I get a 10% cheaper bid usually right out of the chute because I'm paired up and I'm building more than one. If I can bid 2 or 3 at the same time, guess what? My price goes down because they know they're going to have work for the long term. Same thing here. If you're paired up with multiple municipalities, you're going to get a better rate. So what they do, pull us out of there and expect to get a better rate? Really? Come on, guys. That makes absolutely no sense. But yet Stan will sit across from the table tell you it's too hard for you to understand. Well, then you know what? Then you need to learn how to explain it better. Because right now, from where we're sitting, you look dumb. Well, speaking to Stan.
And at the same time, the big word for this whole process was transparency. Uh-huh. But it's amazing the lack of the transparency that was done through this. Most of this process has been held with the consulting firm that out of Southern California that they used. And then, it's just kind of been one meeting to the next and along. And when people stand up and, try to reason with the council, I was just rather disgusted and shocked. It was going back to what you said earlier, and it was when you are an elected official, you're there to serve. And people go in, and this council has done some good things in the past. There's been some good things that's come out, but when you go from...
Can you name one?
Well, I go for one right now. Now I will. The Fifth Street Bridge being finally built is good, but that's not this council. That goes back 20 years. They just happen to be in the seats right now.
Not
when it's all
according to
coming.
Buckland.
Oh, not according to Buckland or Stan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's their baby.
And
they
you would
did
think
it.
that they're out there.
I know.
Actually,
Building it themselves.
actually doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
bunch
You have
of
to. You
clowns,
put them all
honestly.
together, and you go back to even the summer program for the 35 kids that came over to City Hall. There's been some good things, but I think that the focus needs to be refocused. And let's talk about
Your focus needs more focus.
It does. Let's talk about the 35 kids. While that was great, and they got the school systems to pay for that. Back to the very top issue where we talk about police, fire, safety, and road repair. One of the biggest issues that we heard about yesterday when we were walking is the homeless issue.
Yep.
And it's great, and we've got to do things for our kids and our youth, and I get that. I sat on the school board for a charter school here in town as their president. We've totally turned that place around. I believe in kids. All the charities that my wife and I support seem to revolve around kids. And with that, we got to do great things, but we can't take and only focus on 35 or 50 kids when there's over 400 living on the other side of the levee in the south end of town, and it not to be a priority. And when you go to the city's priority list, it's not there. And I was told, quote unquote, by Darren Gale that the reason it's not a priority is because we do not provide funding for it, and the county provides funding. But at the same time, this is a community problem. I have driven around the city, and through this process, I've become more aware of what's going on. Because like anyone, you drive through city all the time, and you're used to seeing things. But I've consciously started looking. And the homeless are all over Yuba City. They are just tucked around this corner or around that corner to where you just can't quite see them, but they are all over. This is a community problem. We've got to deal with it.
Yeah, and it is a problem for us down in South Yuba City, right there by the river, because they venture out and they walk through our neighborhoods, and we see them frequently going through our neighborhoods, and so that's in the forefront of our minds.
On Thursday, I was coming back from Marysville, a.k.a. Browntown, into Yuba City, and I needed to get some hangers for the Trumpware to hang the shirts at the headquarters. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, do I go to the dollar store here on Colusa Highway, or do I go to the one on Bridge? I thought, I'll go to the one on Colusa Avenue. So pulled in and took into account my surroundings and darn near left again. It was that scary. But I got out and went in, made the purchase. They were busy. I mean, they do a good business there. But I asked for the manager of the store, and so she came out, and I said, do these people out here hurt your business? And she said, most definitely. She said, but we call, and the police don't respond. I said, they don't? And she said, we call all the time, but they say it's not priority. I said, there's two guys over there doing, I don't even want to say it on the radio, but it was indecent exposure, right? We have drunken public all over. It was sickening. And I sit on the Sutter County Homeless Committee, and we have made our recommendations. But may I make a rhyme for your guy, Darren? Government moves at a very slow pace. So my new name for Darren is Snail Gale. I used to call him Darren Gale as in Dorothy because he spells his name Gale. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. But now I shall refer to him as Snail Gale.
Does he leave a trail?
Oh, that was awesome. Snail Gale leaves a trail.
Attaboy, Darren.
Give him kudos.
Yeah, you got to pull
Why
it out of
don't
the
you,
gutter.
Bill?
You know what I would like to see is, I know the homeless is a problem. I got that. But I would really like to see these new guys that are running for city council, you, David, for sure, Mark Boomgarden and Stacy, to sit down, and I would like to put together some kind of forum and get Jim Leonard there. Because Jim Leonard, do you know who Jim Leonard is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I've talked to him multiple times, and he's very well versed in the actual what goes on with the homeless, a lot of them, and can tell you a lot of horror stories about the homeless, and can tell you a lot of really good stories about the ones that really want to go back to work and really want to make better for themselves. And I really think we need people like that in our community, sitting down with the community leaders or the future community leaders and coming to a consensus rather than just shining him on like he gets it with all the other city councilmen now. And I've talked to the guy multiple times, and he has some really good ideas that wouldn't cost a lot of money. And he also can give you an idea about what to look for in the ones that are trying to get ahead and the ones that are not. And maybe it needs to be some kind of special training that our police officers go through to understand that you're maybe harassing the wrong ones. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to get all these people together at a table and set them down and go through this and have the public show up and talk about this issue. Because, like you saw, is really, really bad. But also, I know there's some out there that aren't that bad because they didn't put themselves in that situation. Now,
that's what the homeless consortium was all about. And they didn't listen to Jim.
But they didn't listen to Jim. Jim got nowheres with them. They wanted him out of there.
He's moved among the homeless for the last 10 years feeding them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he can tell you some really bad stories about him feeding them and getting harassed about feeding them and everything else. Mm-hmm. And I really think it's something that we need to come together as a community and figure something out. Not put it on our city councilmen to figure it out on their own. And get people who want to help involved rather than some of these, and I'm not saying you, Liz, but I'm just saying, some of the people who want to sit on these boards, maybe they need to go to some kind of class before they actually go to the board to get some help with what other counties have done that's working. And I don't even know if any other counties have done anything that's working other than buying a one-way bus ticket.
You mean your homeless professional...
Scott Thurman?
Scott Thurman,
yes.
For example. Yes.
Yes. Thurman Consulting.
Has he ever ventured down into the river bottoms?
I don't know. I would like to follow him down there with body cam.
And maybe that's what needs to happen is before you can sit on that board, you need to go visit the river bottoms with somebody like Jim Leonard and get something that is really going to work.
So the county is spending money on a consultant to teach them about the homeless when you have Jim Leonard, who's lived this and been among these people and had helped feed them for the past 10 years and can deliver a lesson of discernment to regular people who don't have this exposure so that we can understand the ones that we can help and reach out and help them and the ones that we can't and find a different way to resolve that issue for free. Mm-hmm. So why is this being ignored?
Well, according to the city, the reason it's not on their top priorities list is because they're not providing the funding for it. So what you guys are all talking about is all the sub-symptoms of everything that's going on. And Jason, you were stealing my thunder, and I think it's because you and I have talked about this several times.
Well, and let me back up just a little bit. I've spent quite a bit of time with you now, Dave, putting out signs, walking for you.
It's been a great time,
and I really consider you as a friend now. I mean, honestly, I really do. And the guy has just got it going on. So I won't steal any more thunder. Go.
You're fine. It's goes back to the basics of why I'm doing this. We got to get back to common sense. We got to get back to doing what's right. When I look at all these different groups, every group wants to do something. And you've got a group doing a little here and a group doing a little here and a group doing a little here. I was talking with one of my senior pastors the last couple of weeks and what we have to do, and I'm looking for their insight because we've done it around Sacramento and on a global scale, so I'm seeking their input. But in short, what we're looking for is for everyone to come to the table and say, you know what, I don't care what council you're on, what committee you're on, what group you're with, what your credentials say you are. Basically come to the table and sit down and go, okay, how can we fix this together? And we've always done well up here in comparison to a city in the Central Valley, Stockton. But Stockton just took a leap ahead of us in this area. In the last couple of weeks, their mayor down there has partnered up with Caltrans. They are hiring homeless people to pick up trash, pay them minimum wage with Caltrans. So when you look at this as one big project coming together, you're going to have the municipalities that are probably going to have some funding through grants or whatnot. Some nonprofits can possibly get some grants as well. But different organizations and different municipalities are going to have different resources, from hard assets to manpower to the finances themselves. And we have to figure out, how do we make this all come together to take the ones that are there beyond circumstances, beyond their control, that they really need that hand up. I'm not so much into a hand out. We need to give them a hand up and get them back into society. So if you think about this, if we take a person and we feed them for that one day, then they're waiting for us to come back with the food truck or whatever another day. But if we take them and we hire them to do something like Stockton's done, have one of the nonprofits hire them to pick up trash around the city, and then turn around and pay a minimum wage. Now you've given them money. Now partner with another organization that maybe can provide affordable housing. Now, mind you, it's not going to be fair market rent, but they will have some connection to it, because they have to pay a little bit of money to live somewhere, so they're not living in the river bottoms. We have too many kids down there that go to our schools as well, and we need to fix that. We need to get them out of that environment. But then you also give them a little money as well that helps feed them ongoing. So it's not just about taking care of them at this, afternoon, but it's about taking care of their life going forward and giving them the chance to get right back into society. And I know there's a multitude of other issues there, from mental illness and everything else, but you've got to start with the bare basics first. And that's where this whole, topic points that I have that I'm running on is, you have to start with the basics. And this gets back to, the homeless is a subset of what's going on with the police department. And with that, I want, first and foremost, because I'm a huge supporter of our armed forces, our veterans, military, first responders, and our local police officers, fire, paramedics, everything. They do a fabulous job. They absolutely do. Kudos to those guys. This first topic I'm talking about isn't geared as a negative to them. It's, I want to help them, because you talk to the council, and because we spoke at an event last week, and they touted out that we spend 66% of our general fund on first responders, on public safety. Great. What's that benchmark? Talking to them through the process, that's basically built upon last year's numbers and what the expectations are. Why is it that 75%? Why isn't that 80%? When you look at this from a decision standpoint, that council made a conscientious decision to give pay raises to administration, where we could have taken those pay raises and simply put a few more officers, boots on the grounds, in law enforcement, in fire. And it's, go ahead,
And
Jason.
could we have done that without raising taxes if we would have done it that way?
Yes.
Really?
It's just reallocation of assets.
Huh. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about creating a safe community. Because if you look at it from the very simplistic, the reason that the officers can't respond to the homeless issue is they're fully manned for what they're funded. But the problem is they are undermanned. If we get back into ratios, and I've got the data there, we are far below the ratio of officers per residents than we were when I moved here 30 years ago. And we have gone so far with things that have moved into our area now that we actually need to go to where we have a much stronger police and fire presence here in this community to be able to take care of things. The reason they can't respond to the homeless issue is because they are running from call to call to call that's calls that take higher priority. I've talked to different people about, why is there not traffic enforcement? It's because we actually do not have the funding for the proper number of traffic enforcement officers. The plan is very simple, and I don't want to make it sound like it's a dumb plan or anything like that. It's just, you got to take it back to basics. First of all, you build up the foundation, you create a safe community, meaning you fully fund and man your police and fire. Can't stress that enough. That's got to be the foundation. You create a safe community. Now you've got a community that people want to relocate to, that they want to live in. Now you've got a community that people want to do business in. Wait, what happened? We just got an increase in tax revenues from housing. We just got a bump in sales tax and business revenues. Wait, now suddenly we have more money that we can turn around and start fixing some of the incredibly horrendous roads that we have in Yuba City, and actually get those to where they won't beat your car to death. And there's a subset off of this as well that gets over into education, because the same money that goes for public works into the cities also helps fund education. So if we build a safe community and get one where people want to live in and do business in, it's a win-win for not only our residents, but our children as well, because the school system would then have more money that they could allocate for various resources they need to help students. So that's really the cornerstone right there. Fully funded, fully manned, not partially, fully. And you can start dealing with a lot of issues.
There's not a single person in this community that disagrees on one specific topic as far as the homeless goes, and that is they cannot be down at the river bottoms. So to dovetail on everything you've said, Dave, if we have safety, we have the housing. There's one other thing. If people can recreate here on the Feather River, that is also going to provide revenue.
Correct.
It's not possible right now because it's not safe. So when you say safety, that doesn't just pertain to peace officers and, law enforcement. That pertains also to us. And being able to feel safe, right?
Exactly.
I didn't feel safe at the dollar store
And
on Calouse Avenue.
I could sense that. I've asked many people as I've been talking to them, do you feel as safe now as you did 10 years ago? And again, nothing to do with a negative against our first responders. They are awesome. It just has to do with the sheer magnitude of what has come in and how we haven't kept up with demand in giving them what they need. And it's been a resounding no. People will tell me 20 years ago, didn't even lock my doors, didn't worry about locking my vehicle out front. Now, if you don't basically turn your house into Fort Knox and lock everything up, your car's stolen and everything else is gone. We've got to get back to basics. It's really that simple.
I think the other thing that people need to take into account is we talk about this homeless issue as a single issue. We talk about the homeless. It's an issue. We need to solve the issue. There is not one resolution to that issue because there are so many facets, as he was explaining, to the homeless issue. You have different reasons why they're homeless. You have the mentally ill. You have the people that are just down on their luck. You have the people that have had a traumatic event in their life that have caused this situation. And you have the people who have fallen victim to addiction. There are so many different reasons why they're down there. There are people that can be helped, and there are people that are going to need other avenues to get them,
And then there are those that don't want to be helped.
That's right.
That choose to have riverfront property.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Now, the problem I have with Sutter County Board of Supervisors is they're just looking for a spot. All they want is a spot so they can get on with their getting rid of, pulling everybody out of the river bottoms. I don't want them to just have a spot. I want them to help those people that want help. I want to allow those people to come forward and be good citizens.
Kind of like what the Church of Glad Tidings offered up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just a spot for them to congregate and go and herd them in there.
Right.
It's
And
actually
that's
to get
what
them
they're
back
looking
into
for.
society.
Yeah.
And now that they've chosen the mental health on
Live Oak Boulevard.
Live Oak Boulevard, and now it's so much better. What's the last thing I heard? Oh, well, we're going to have to spend a boatload on environmental impact because there's some hazardous material been out there, and it's, my God.
You guys, we didn't do show prep today. If I knew we were talking about homeless, I would have brought in the 32 pages of resources that we currently have available in this region, in the Yuba Sutter region. Everything from addiction to housing to food pantries to reintegrating into society. They exist here. But what you have from the state of California that's really enticing is a wall of money, okay? It's coming here. If you look at the Board of Supervisors, the notes for their meeting approaching on Tuesday, September 11th, they state that there is $3.3 million that we have available to us right now. Who's going to be in charge of that money? Because I like your idea, Dave, and one of the main things that needs to be taken out of this whole concept of helping, of making us better, number one thing, take the government the hell out of it.
Exactly.
Sick of it. That is what grows here. Their salaries, their increases, their numbers. It's complete BS. I've had it. I'm tired of it. There were many, many people that applied for that homeless consortium last November. Okay? So here we are, almost a year later, and what do we have? A worse problem. A problem that is so bad. And you know what? For the amount of taxes we pay, our amenities suck. It's horrible.
Yep.
As a councilman, would you be willing to sit across from the county because apparently they don't play well together?
That's what I've heard. Absolutely. That gets right back to the basics of what I said. I don't care what commission you sit on, what council you sit on, what organization you're running. We need to bring it all together and sit around the table and just say, you know what, I can offer this. Well, we can offer this. There's not going to be one nonprofit, one government agency, one business, anything that's involved that is going to have the entire answer and all the resources. We've got to put egos and agenda aside, and we've got to step up and do it. And there's been a lot of good things that's been done. But again, the problem is you have a little bit here and a little bit here and a little bit here. And if we've really got laser focused as one group and said, we're going to target A, and it's going to be getting these people, as an example, getting these people that are there by circumstances beyond their controls, how do we give them that hand up to get them out of that situation? And focus together. That's job one. Once you get that done, then you can move on to job 2 and job 3. Right now, we have one group working on job 1, another group wanting to work on job 3, another one wanting to work on job 7, and we haven't got job 1 done first. So we've got to come together. That's the bottom line.
I'm going to put you on the spot for just a minute.
That's a Lou analogy. It's a tweaker thing.
What would your solution be to the ones that say, I don't want your help? I'm quite happy down here with my fort that says no trespassing, has aggressive pit bulls that are not vaccinated, that have signs everywhere that say keep out. What about those ones?
Well, this gets back to the cornerstone of how do we, start having a safe community with our first responders, with the police. When we're properly manned, we have all the bodies out there. Now we can have specific groups within our police department that are dealing with this. Now, mind you, there are legalities, and you guys have heard about all the lawsuits and things going on that we have to deal with. But crime and vagrants follows the path of least resistance. And if we're not down there moving them on a daily basis, reminding them it says keep out, you cannot camp here, they're going to stay. But if they're having to pick up and move every day or every other day, they will get the hint, and they will eventually either
wade across the river.
We're still the hub area. It's not. I don't want to just run them from Yuba City to Marysville.
No, I was joking. Just the wade across was the point. That
there.
I was
Okay.
now that the river's so screwed up.
There you go. There is one thing with the homeless issue here. A lot of them have came here because it's the path of least resistance. They weren't from here. They have migrated from Sacramento, San Francisco, San Jose, these various other areas. If we create that wall of resistance, then they might just go right back to where they came from.
Did you
And-
know, Dave, that the Yuba Sutter region is a destination spot for homeless?
It's a vacation spot.
They all know it. They all know it. It's like, visit Yuba Sutter, because we don't do a damn thing about it.
Exactly. And there's a clear difference between those that need a hand up and those that, need to go home.
I
And-
think maybe the government's role in this whole solving the homeless issue or working to solve the homeless issue should be that of facilitation and maybe bringing these groups together and directing the funds to where they need to be used appropriately, but let the community groups do the driving, the steering of the ship, because we haven't heeded the warning that Ronald Reagan delivered. The 9 most terrifying words you're ever going to hear is, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." That stands true today.
Oh,
Very
truer than
So-
ever.
Here's your $1,000 firework fine.
No, it's very, 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 very true. We need to come together, but we've got too many chiefs and no Indians, as I heard growing up. And everyone just wants to be in charge, and it's the municipalities that really want to be in charge. And we need to have the boldness and the confidence to come to that table and stand up and go, you know what? Great. We're going to bring everybody together, just like you said. Bring them together. Let's figure it out. And then, hey, you've got a wonderful idea. Let's run with this one after we get the consensus and everybody get behind you. And we may be the funding as a municipality, but you may have all the assets and the plan that's already working. So, that's what's got to happen. Egos have got to go.
And that's a big thing that we have right now. Anybody has talked to Stan Cleveland or John Buckland, if you can read people at all, there's ego there and a mentality of I'm better than you there.
Arrogance.
Yes, every time you talk to them. And it's wrong. It's a big, big problem. And like I say, with Dave, I've never, ever felt that way. I've always felt like we're on an even playing field. He answers all the questions. He never shines on a question. I mean, right now, folks, I guarantee you see him out walking, go up to him and ask him a question. He's going to give you a straight, honest answer. And if he doesn't know, he's going to find out for you. It's not just a shine-on deal.
And he's going to deliver it in a very friendly fashion.
Exactly.
Approachable.
Smiling, just having a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I've never laughed so much working as I did the night that we went out and put up signs. I mean, and my youngest son, he's not a worker. He can and he will, and if you put him on the spot, he does. But he had so much fun, and it was such a game to him with Dave and his crew that he had out there, that he actually stayed on with them even after I was like, you know what, I got to go home. I got to go to work in the morning. He's like, can I just stay with them and hang out and put up some more signs? And I'm going, yeah. But
This is the same kid I brought with me.
exactly.
He's been great. He has absolutely been great. Kudos to him.
So, no, it's been really interesting to see that, and it's getting them politically involved, too. So thank you for that, Dave. I mean, honestly, we've been pushing the kid to get a little bit more involved, and now he runs the roulette table over there, and that's partially because of you being out there and doing that and getting him into politics whenever we went out that night. And it's been awesome. So I really appreciate the time you spent with him whenever you took him out on your own, and put up signs with him and doing that kind of stuff. So hats off to you and your daughter and your team. I mean, that was really awesome. So thank you.
Thank you to you guys. You guys have been absolutely awesome in the support and help. And I told you guys from the first time I met all of you, I will be myself. I am not a career politician. I have been around politics for 30 years, but I have no desire to spend 12 years in office. It's let's just simply get in there, get it done. As my wife says, I'm a fixer because I like to fix things. I see things that are broken. You talked about the things that's been going on, with talking down to and stuff and the disrespect you alluded to, Jason.
Yes.
That was really the tipping point back to the beginning of why I decided to do this, because I'm not scared to stand up and take the bull by the horns. You know, that's
Hence-
we've
hence
got
the
the bull.
bull.
That's one of the mantras behind the bull is we're not scared to take the bull by the horns. But if I'm standing up and they want to come after me, then what's the next citizen in the Yuba City area got to do? And it's not so much that the two that are not up for reelection. I have the utmost respect for these guys because I have watched them try to take a stand and try to do something that's right, and absolutely just be disrespected by the other three.
The trash trio.
And I've heard that comment, and it has been disheartening because I mean there's not even professional courtesy going on at times, and that's the reason. Somebody's got to stand up and say enough's enough. Somebody's got to stand up for the average person, and it struck a real chord with myself and my wife, and I've said it many, many times. I mean, I'm getting other endorsements, and I appreciate that, and it's been really humbling to have the people come behind me and say, "Hey, I want you to be on the council. I'm supporting you. You've got my endorsement." But in my book, my wife's endorsement is the one that counts. And we talked about it a very long time. She took several months to make her decision. But it's because she feels as passionately as I do about a lot of these issues, the homeless being one. So we can continue. I don't know what kind of time frame we're on here, Jason.
We got to go here in about 2 more minutes, and then we'll come back from a radio break. But
Okay.
we'd like you to stay the whole time.
Okay,
I mean,
perfect.
we'd really like you to stay the whole time and just kind of go. We got to get on to some other stuff, but
Right.
we'd like you to stay the whole time if you don't mind.
We got to get on to the baby watch. People have been waiting a
yeah.
week to hear
Yes.
about that.
You know what? Why don't you go ahead and do the last 2 minutes of that, you and Tammy, and
Okay.
what you got going on there.
Tammy's. I haven't even touched
She's
the baby yet.
beautiful. Baby Aspen. I won the weight guess. 7 pounds, 6 point something ounces.
Fake news.
Yeah, so my
Wrong
guess was
date.
7 pounds 6 ounces, and she was 7 pounds 6 and some change. Not quite 7'7", and she's absolutely perfect and beautiful. Spent a little more time in the hospital than we had planned because turns out they did reveal that she's got some holes in her heart that are going to need some attention. So she's being followed up by a cardiologist, and we'll see where that road takes us. But she's home. She is now finally eating well, I hear, but she loves to be held, and she's very snuggly and warm and cute and smells good.
She got puppy breath.
We spent a lot of time, more time than Tammy had a recent hospital stay. And
Yeah.
so I got to go back to the same hospital that she was in and stay some more time. If I never go to a hospital again, it will be too soon.
Yeah, but people know you by name there.
Yeah, I know it's bad.
Oh, hey, it's Jason.
Jason.
And they're like, "Shh, you have to be quiet now." As a matter of fact, I was detained in the
gotta
hospital.
you got to tell the full story. We'll tell that story when you come back because that
Okay.
was pretty funny.
Yes, I was detained in the hospital for my voice. So, yeah,
It was funny.
it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all.
It was funny.
I'm glad you thought
I knew it was a joke, so I was laughing.
I was a little testy
You got-
about it.
You got all Stan all of a sudden.
Yeah. But then what was bad is it was a joke, but then social services heard it, and they were ready to call the police because it wasn't a joke to them. We'll go into that when we come
Yeah,
back.
we'll go into that when we come back.
Oh, yes, and don't forget, we're listening to The Patriot,
Yes,
1410
a.m.
104.3 FM
And
on
we
top of
are-
Mount Hood.
The Yuba Sutter Political Spotlight. We'll be right back.
Check out the Territorial Dispatch. Papers are weekly and can be obtained free at distribution or by mail through subscription. It's the only locally owned and operated newspaper in the region. The paper is the rest of the story. And also check out the E-Territorial. It's an online version of the Territorial Dispatch which features local news and events for the Yuba Sutter, Colusa, and Nevada County areas. You'll also find daily and breaking news updates, current traffic, and weather information, along with a calendar of local events. Visit the E-Territorial at eterritorial.com.
County Sheriff Steve Durfer. I fully endorse Captain Brandon Barnes to be your next Sutter County Sheriff. I've worked with Captain Barnes for over 20 years. Brandon is a graduate of the prestigious FBI National Academy. He was our former SWAT commander and chief of investigations and now holds one of the highest positions in law enforcement as jail commander. He leads and manages a staff of over 80 personnel and an inmate population of almost 400. Folks, your sheriff is the top law enforcement officer in the county. Experience and character are critical. That's why 13 active California county sheriffs, including myself, endorse him. I am beyond confident that Captain Barnes has the skills, the temperament, and the vision to lead Sutter County. I believe this is the most important vote on your ballot. I encourage you to vote Brandon Barnes for Sutter County Sheriff.
Paid for by Brandon Barnes for Sutter County Sheriff 2018.
My name is Mark Boomgarden, and I believe in hard work, honesty, American values, and service to the community. Those are the values that have guided me in a lifetime of serving Yuba City as a firefighter, fire chief, businessman, and community volunteer. Those are also the values that have led me to run for council. This is not about fame, climbing the political ladder, or for money. At least, it's not for me. That is why I will not accept any benefits and will donate 100% of my city council pay to local charities. I will tackle wasteful spending, make fighting crime a top priority, bring new focus to dealing with the growing homeless problem, ensure better disaster preparedness, and invest in fixing our roads and water infrastructure. This is our city, yours and mine, so I will always listen and be accessible to you. That's why I've put my personal phone number on all of my campaign material. To learn more, visit markboomgarden.com. That's Mark with a C, Boomgarden with 2 O's and 2 A's. This is Mark Boomgarden, and I approve this message.
What if you for the very first time had true transparency in government? If I'm elected to the board, and I expect that I will, it'd be my intention that I will be very much involved in the day-to-day operations of the county to a larger degree than I have been even as a watchdog. So let me assure you, the public will know more about their government than they do today.
Okay.
All right, we are back.
Hey, now there's a couple of things I got to say about those commercials. One is they're not 13 sheriffs anymore; it's 17 sheriffs.
Yeah, I know. We really need to get a new ad.
And there's some people, angry people, running on posting on Facebook because John Missler's running. All I can figure is it must be county employees. They don't want transparency in government.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw there's mad faces posted on its event. Only 2, but I went to their web pages, and it's not a loss. They wouldn't see things our way anyway.
Well, you know, we wouldn't want any transparency in government, whatever we do.
We have John Missler coming up, don't we?
We do. Oh, we were gonna follow up on the baby Aspen, the baby watch that we started last weekend, and so we got to head down there as soon as our show ended, and we got to see.
That's not baby Aspen.
No,
that's
baby
somebody
Aspen
else.
would not do that. She's perfect.
Okay, I have
I
have to interject and ask: was that the baby, or was that Jason crying when they took away his security badge because he was in there so much?
Okay, so I'm gonna go.
And now from someone that used to be Dave's friend.
I'm gonna give the full backstory because we got to go all the way back, and I'll make it quick.
Okay.
So whenever Holly first started dating Jimmy, we went on a trip. We all went over to Fort Bragg for the weekend. And there's a bunch of us, big group. And we were there, and me and Jimmy were joking around. I said, I'm just going to call you Travis, dude. She has so many boyfriends that, you know what, that we just can't keep the name straight. So I'm just calling you Travis like I call the rest of them. So you're Travis. 2 years go by, they get married. And at his wedding, I'm going, well, you know, Travis over here. So his mom and dad are like, what do you mean Travis? And I'm like, well, you know. So I told everybody's story then. So now Travis has been around like 4 or 5 years now. I don't even know how long.
Was that the trip where you crawled up the stairs?
No,
that was the next trip.
That was the next trip. Okay. Never mind.
I didn't crawl up any stairs. But anyway.
That was the trip. He was the s'mores expert. And Jimmy told all the kids to go get the s'mores from the s'mores king or something. And he made up something about Jason being a s'mores king.
Moving along.
Okay.
So Travis has been trying to get back at me now for about 5 years. Well, it happened.
And how?
So we go down to visit the baby. And is that going to come out your nose, Bill? So we go
try
down
not to drink and laugh at the same time.
We go down to visit the baby, and my wife, my beautiful, loving wife, calls Jimmy and says, hey, we're here. And I'm like, well, that was odd, but whatever, no big deal. We're going to go into the hospital. So we go and we get our name badges, everything. We go up to the 8th floor where they are at the hospital, and we go to check in, and the lady goes, who are you here to see? And I go, we're here to see everybody. You know, just in true Jason form. And she goes, and who are you? And I said, I'm Jason Ryan. And she goes, you're not going to see anybody. And she goes, we have a thing that says you are loud and obnoxious in the room.
Okay. Bulletin.
The day before, I was joking about the nurse about Norcos. and so I was like, and then they're going.
He was thinking there could be some truth to it because, oh man, I was giving the nurse a hard time yesterday
I was giving
about
the nurse
Norcos.
a hard time about Norco and everything else, and and then she says, well, you can't go into the room because you were loud and obnoxious, and we've
had too many complaints.
Too many complaints.
You can't go to the room. Your wife can go to the room, so you go ahead. You go on.
You got to shoo out of here and go back to that waiting room and wait there. You can't go in.
Yep.
And I'm going, you got to be kidding me. But I'm thinking, wow, I wonder if that nurse said something. You know, I mean, all kinds of things are running through my head that I'm going, shouldn't have said that. One too many times being a smartass. So I didn't know Jimmy's around the corner cracking up. Well, he didn't see that what are they called? The
child service, social services.
Social services is there, and they're hearing
this.
They
overheard this.
And they're going berserk back there going, well, we need to call somebody.
They have their finger on the button. Yeah. Like they got to call security because this guy's a problem.
Because they weren't in on the joke. Funny, yeah. So here I am, and let me tell you, I wasn't in a mood to go to jail that day, so it would have been all 5
I'm not going back to jail.
So, long story short is they had to talk social services down, is why I had to sit in the lobby for like 30 minutes.
No, you didn't. It was only a few minutes.
But as mad as I was, it was 30 minutes.
So it's running through my brain going, okay, this is not real. They've got to be joking. And I know the history between Jason and Jimmy.
Travis.
Yeah.
He will forever be Travis now.
So I'm thinking he put them up to this. I just had that feeling. So I'm like kind of laughing, but you know, there's still that inkling of doubt that
you
it
called
could
him
be
before
real.
we got there. You had to be in on it.
I was not in on
Whatever.
it. I really wasn't. I was just saying, hey, we're here.
Whatever.
No, I really wasn't in on
we're
it.
here.
But
Go
as
ahead
soon
and
as
do
I
this.
rounded the corner, I saw Jimmy crouched down there. He was just rolling, holding his belly and everything. He's just laughing so hard.
Yeah, I haven't been back to see the baby since. But I don't hold the grudge.
Why do you hate children?
I cannot believe how well those nurses pulled it off. You know, because these are just regular people, nurses. They're not used to the jokes, pranks that we pull on each other. And she pulled it off well. And she came up to us after. She's like, did I do a good job? I felt so bad. I felt so bad doing that. It was funny.
I did not think it was funny whatsoever, but okay. I'm glad you guys thought it was awesome.
I wish you'd have filmed it.
Oh.
Yeah, it should have been filmed because I think his face got really red.
Oh, yeah, I was not.
He was all red-faced and angry.
Glad everybody had a good time.
Yeah, we did. We had a really good time at your expense.
So this is the political spotlight, right?
Okay,
No,
that
this
was
is the Baby
update.
Aspen show.
But
all
I
about
don't know
Baby
those
Aspen.
people. Do you know those people, Dave?
I'm learning.
Sorry, we just had
He
to fill
almost
you in.
feels like family now.
I'm just thinking it's all fun and games until.
Till Jason gets put in his own little room, like here.
Yep, this is Baby Aspen's Aunt Tammy and Uncle Jason's show.
Oh.
And we think she's beautiful. And
She smells funny.
you say that about every baby, but you said Baby Aspen smelled really good.
I never said that.
Yes, you did. You're like, most babies smell funny, and she doesn't.
I must have had a drink.
No, that's what you said.
Okay.
And you were saying how perfect her skin was because there's like no wrinkles or anything.
Yeah, that
She's
was
just-
pretty cool. That was pretty interesting.
She's very smooth and perfect. We
Anyways.
love you, Baby Aspen.
Okay, so on to more politics stuff.
Now, I want to keep talking about Baby Aspen.
I know, but you can go over there after the show. Tammy's got 2 homes now,
Yeah,
so
I got my own room over there. She cleared out a drawer.
all right, good enough. So, anyways, we've got a few candidates that we really like for this, and we're joined by David Shaw still, and he is one of them that's running for city council. And we just got through talking about all the homeless issues and everything else there. We know there's a big issue there, but the problem is that I noticed yesterday when we were walking is you can kind of even throw it back on the people, and they have no idea what to do about it. I mean, we really need a big set down to figure out what we can do about it, what's going to keep their rights in place, but also keep our rights as private property owners in place, and also keep everybody in the city somewhat safe. I mean, I am under the mindset of if the guy's got pit bulls and they charge me, I'm going to put them down. Plain and simple. I'll take care of myself. But the fact is, I understand there's a lot of people not with that same mindset. So
I couldn't do that for myself.
yes.
But that's why we go everywhere together.
Okay, well, but okay. Anyways, I understand that they have rights, but I also know that we have rights, and you've got to bear. Because the minute that you start taking their rights away, you're giving your rights away also.
That's right.
So we got to be very careful. It's a slippery slope. Anyways, Dave, I'm going to turn it back over to you. What's next on your hit list? What is it? Okay, I asked Mark last week. Mark Boomgarden was in. You've won the election. What's your first order of business at City Hall?
We have to start as new leadership raising the bar on accountability, raising the bar on using common sense, and raise the bar on listening to the residents. That's where it's got to start. When you raise those bars, you start listening. You have to hold, our employees at City Hall, which we got some great employees over there, but we've got to raise that expectation that it's not just customer service, but it's delivering the best product for the residents in the city and the people of the city, and listening to them and doing what needs to be done and doing what they're asking for. That you've got to set it in proper order. That's job one, because we're not going to get anything else done until that bar is raised.
Exactly. And, I saw a city employee at the car wash this morning that I normally talk to, and I kind of got a cold shoulder, didn't even say hi to me, which is fine. I understand. I bash on the city a lot. But, whenever I'm doing that, guys, and I want to send this out to the whole city, everybody out there, I think you guys do a fine job. It's the upper management that I have a problem with. Everything starts, I'm management at my job. Everything starts with the attitude that I have that day, rolls all the way down to the very bottom guy pushing the broom. And that's where it starts, and that's where we need to start with pushing. And whenever I start giving city folks a bad and start beating on them here at the spotlight, I mean the upper echelon. The guys that are management, that are at-will employees, they need to be doing their job first and foremost. The line staff, that's their job, is to keep the line staff in line. I don't care, about the line staff so much. I think they all do a good job. And they're human beings. If they're expected less of, they're going to do less. If they're expected more of them, they're going to do more. It's just the nature of the beast. So the line staff out there, don't think I'm beating on you guys. I really don't want to get that name for the spotlight. But your bosses really need to step it up some. And I think that's where Dave is coming across too. I don't know, but that's just my 2 cents from the spotlight.
And you're right on. It starts at the top, and the leadership isn't the city manager. The leadership is the council. The council has the ultimate fiduciary responsibility and the authority, and that's where it has to start. That accountability, that integrity, that character, that caring, that serving, that listening has to start at the council level. And then the bar has to be raised with our city managers and our city leaders that are at the upper management there to what we truly expect as a council. Right now, the expectations and conversations that I've had has been much lower than I would expect, that I would think that I would be getting as a resident of the city. And they've done a lot of great things, and we've got some wonderful employees at the city. There's no issue there. It has to do with leadership, and it's time for a change in leadership. That's really what this campaign is about. Mark, I'm looking forward to serving with him. He's going to bring the same type of values and core cut of character that I'm bringing to the council, and I'm looking forward to working with Sean and Manny, the two that are not up for re-election, as I've seen them try to raise that bar. So I think with a change in leadership, we can start making a difference.
Yeah. And, we do have a wild card seat there. We really do. My own thought, and I think it's everybody's thought here on the spotlight, is that it will be you and Mark that are going to get seats. I think you guys are outshining the incumbents. I think, and there's one open seat that's nobody. It's just an open seat. So I think you and Mark have got that nailed down. I think the wild card is going to be between Stan, Buckland, and somebody new. And I honestly believe that Stan and Buckland had better bring their A game, because there's a lot of names out there, and it's going to pull a lot of votes. And I think with it pulling the votes, I think you and Mark are going to be our front runners. I really, really do. I'm really excited, because even if just you and Mark get in, and it's one guy of the old, Stan or Buckland, I don't know that they have enough nerve and enough backbone to try and stand on their own and push things the way they've been going, especially whenever they come up against guys who have a strong leadership sense like you and Mark. I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. And the folks out there that are voting really need to play this one smart. And, right now, I would say, vote for you and Mark and leave that third one blank. Let's see what happens. Or put Stacy in there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, my understanding, you have vetted all the candidates,
we
and
have
you've got a
vetted all-
third.
yeah.
And who's your third candidate, then, Jason?
Stacy Brookman would be mine. I think
would be mine.
we went ahead and backed him
I
at this point.
I think we're pretty congruent on that.
Yeah. And I think that, it's going to be hard, because he is going up against two incumbents for one basically open seat is what it's going to come down to. I think he's going to have to work his butt off. But honestly, I think he could do it. I think he could pull it off. I'm really looking forward to getting him on the show, getting a radio ad cut for him, and start pushing. So, Stacy, if you're out there, give us a call and let's get you set up. But the thing is like I say, I think with two we can do something. If we got three, though, folks, you can literally change everything. The operation at the city, the day-to-day operation, could cease in December and start the way of the people right now. Mm-hmm. It's no joke. You could change everything up right this minute.
Yeah, the course of government in the city can change very easily in just about 6.5 weeks, because if we can get the right people in there, and I'll go ahead and say this about Stacy. I think you guys have got a good choice in Stacy. I've met with most all the other candidates. We'll look forward to meeting with any and all of them, but I know Stacy has a lot of things that line up with the things that I believe in myself. And with that, I think really what we have to look at is the motive of why the person is running. If they're running because they want an office, it's probably not the person they have there. If they're running because they simply want to offer their skill set and try to make a difference, and it's not about title, it's not about anything else, I think that's the people you need to take a look at. And my understanding, Stacy has stepped up on some different things as far as giving back. My wife and I are very private in what we do, but we do give back a lot to this community, and I don't want our campaign to be about, I'm going to step away from this or that in order to get elected. My wife and I are going to continue doing the stuff we do year in and year out. This is just another way of having further opportunities to give more back to this community.
I love that word, opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Much better than power and control.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, because, as you go higher in authority, your actual power and control should get less and less and less, because you're there to serve. So I would, ask the people, really take a look. If you guys have vetted Stacy, take a good look at him. I've spent some time with him now and talked to him. He's a nice guy. He really is. And I think it's worth people taking a look. So Stacy, kudos to you, my friend, and get in here with these guys.
We had a fun time on Friday night with Mark Boomgarden, who has more vowels in his name than anybody I know of.
Or have ever seen before. It's funny to see it written.
Vanna White would just be flipping all night long. Yeah.
I was really, really, really happy to see two of the responses at the event.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Jackie Silman. I really appreciated her comment when she was there. She was like, "This is the most fun event I've been to," and that is a compliment, because we work so hard to make these successful events, and we put a lot of effort and labor into building up that headquarters into, a place where we can have a truly enjoyable, entertaining event space. And I think we've accomplished that. People love the gaming tables. They love the new spinny wheel we have that Carl manned that night. You spin the wheel to see how much funny money you get. And it's a good time. It's, there's no stress, because you're not wagering anything. So it's not like anybody leaves mad. All you're doing is having fun. And to boot, you get to learn a game that you haven't, been exposed to yet. And there's no stress about doing it, because I know I get very intimidated if I actually go to a casino, and I don't like to do the tables, because I don't want people to get mad at me because I do the wrong thing. Or
And if Tammy bets $1 or wins $1, she's done for the night.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for making my husband a craps addict. I'd like to thank you very much.
Mark said the same thing about his wife. He's not happy with you, Jason.
But it's so much fun. And that poor Leslie, we used to have, Randy on the radio show. He was part of the Center Spotlight. He still is. But his wife was there. That poor lady could not, for her life, roll anything but a 7 on anything other than the come-out roll. If it was after the come-out roll, it was a 7. I mean, it was just, and she lost all of her dollars right there in about 10 minutes. And I'm going, this is not normal, but, she's going, I'm not playing this anymore.
She was done. And then later that night, you had a conversation with her about her architectural engineering
she's a
at
landscape
Caltrans.
architect.
Landscape architect.
A landscape architect at Caltrans.
No, I hear you went overboard. That you might have been a little bit inebriated.
Yeah,
and you
well,
maybe
I
just
had
shut
a
your
drink.
mouth off
I
way
did
a little
I
bit
did
too
have
much.
a drink or two, but you know how I am about the upper echelon of people, and with the landscape architect, that's where I steal a lot of my money from on my projects. Because they're the very last in, and I don't see beautification as important as structural life safety issues. So yeah, we had a very enlightening conversation. It was awesome. She was a very good sport, though.
She sure was.
She very much was.
She probably kicked the craps out of her husband on the way home, but
Yeah, Randy did look a little bruised and beaten the next day.
bruised,
said
beaten,
something
how about battered?
Leslie and what you said after I left.
Randy would never claim to be battered.
I only know one. There is only one single
It's a chicken
man
hawk and chicken
that
boy.
I know that has ever claimed to be battered. And to boot, he's a police officer. That's sad.
It is sad. It's kind of pathetic, but
It's pathetic, and we keep on saying
He's a
we're
chicken
not going
hawk
to talk
and a
about
doctor.
him, but every single week, somebody, he just steps in
I
it.
need to know why somebody called him a doctor. Is there, and they were serious?
So I don't exactly know how it happened, but we had a Republican Central Committee meeting on Thursday night, and yes, I still hold a seat on the Central Committee. I'm not letting that go yet because I want to, take care of some business, right?
Okay.
So,
Business.
oh boy. So on Thursday night, walked into the city council chambers, and I could see that Dennis Houck was there, sitting at the back row.
Dennis Hawk.
Well, I call him by his
At that
name.
point, it was Dennis
It's Dennis Houck. So, he was there seeking the Republican nomination because he says he's the only Republican, running. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, the introductions, roll call. We went through the roll call of all the members, and then the alternates, and then the guests. Well, one of our members on the Central Committee went back and cuddled up with Dennis, and when it came time to introduce Dennis, he sprang out of his seat and said, "I would like to introduce my friend, Dr. Dennis Hawk."
You're killing me, Smalls.
No, it really happened.
So why would his friend, for one, think he's a doctor, and for two, mispronounce his name? His friend, Dr. Dennis Hawk?
Dennis Hawk. And so we went through, we had a lot of business. I mean, it was a working meeting because they have a fundraiser approaching. Mm-hmm. And, but the chair asked if, and she actually said, "We have Dennis Hawk here tonight." And would you like to say a few words? So he got up and he gave his spiel. And, I've seen him speak before. He totally flip-flopped. But the one thing on many, many of his issues, I think he was pandering to the crowd he was speaking to, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the things that he said that I thought was just incredible was that he had intentionally not sought the endorsement of any law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, why?
Because he didn't want to admit that he couldn't get the endorsement. He couldn't get the endorsements, so now the story is,
turn a negative into a positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
Let's
so he
spin it.
intentionally did not seek any endorsements. I just thought that was incredible. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so from here on out, I just could not believe that everybody was calling him Hawk. And, you take into consideration the battered, the bruised, the Hawk. And on the way home, I was telling my husband, who is also a member of the committee, I said, "Do you remember Foghorn Leghorn?" And from then on, that was...
I'm a chicken hawk, and I'm going to take you home.
That's all I have to say about that. And if you're listening, Dr. Dennis Hawk.
Well, and this is kind of what I think of the Central.
People say we monkey around.
Is that us?
Yeah,
Are we the
I'm
monkeys?
sorry. No, that's you guys over at the Central Committee.
Oh.
Because whenever it comes to getting stuff done, you guys have meetings upon meetings, and you don't really move out of each other's way. I'm sorry. I mean, how long have you guys been trying to put a Republican headquarters together?
Well, apparently they're still trying.
Yeah.
Well, they are still trying. And the funny thing, I phoned Assemblyman Gallagher's office and told it we can't speak on this phone because it's state-owned about campaign signs. People are coming in asking for campaign signs for Assemblyman Gallagher, for young James, so I lovingly refer to him as. And we don't have any young James, and Stephen Heater won't answer the damn phone or return emails. So I don't know if your, phones are broken over there. I called the campaign number.
Well, it could be that maybe he just doesn't need Yuba Sutter's votes.
Well, we just may not be the right Republicans for him,
I would think that he would want the votes anyways, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we just don't rank, but whatever. Anyways, I would like to get back to Dave Shaw and see what else he's got. We talked about the Stop the Dump. We've talked about the homeless. And we kind of touched on the fire and police about, not raising, taken from other issues. One of the funny things is it came up the other day, and I don't even know who I was talking to, but apparently Steve Krager makes almost as much as the Sacramento city manager. It's
Yeah.
not by much off that he's making. Why?
Well, it's definitely not proportional population-wise.
And it's definitely not because he's doing any business. I mean,
Yeah, but they're getting paid a dime more over in the next county. I mean, we got to have that dime. Give me that dime raise.
well, at what point are we going to be able, are we going to say we just can't afford it?
Well, we can't afford him.
Well, there's many things that we can't afford. This Tuesday at 3 p.m., the most inopportune time in the afternoon, the Sutter County Supervisors will be meeting, and they have a packed agenda. And in going over the notes of staff report and some of the contracts that are coming forth and all that kind of stuff, that's how the public, that's how they get things through. They shove it through because we are just so busy trying to keep our heads above water. I don't know the gal that they've hired from Yolo County, but she's coming in as a new employee for head of human resources, and they're starting her out at step 10.
That's the highest, right?
Right,
Wow.
that's the highest. Not only that, so her salary will be $161,000. Let's just call it $162,000. That's just the salary.
So she's never going to
That's
want to
not
raise.
any of the benefits, and the benefits usually run what, 40 grand or so.
That'll
well,
come later.
Yeah, but here's the other thing that I find interesting. They banked her, starting her out before she even starts day one, 12 weeks vacation. Oh, and this.
What a deal!
And this does not have to pay 1 red cent to her PERS.
Wow.
See, I didn't know that you could come into a city and negotiate like that. I know in my field, I'm private, I can negotiate whatever I want. Times are better, I negotiate more because the times are good. Times are bad, I get to negotiate less because I have to make less because nobody's out there to, there's no other job to go to, and they know that. And I love the company that I work for, but I also know that the cards are all in my favor right now. They know that, so they know they're going to pay me more. 5 years down the road could be the other way around. But I didn't know that you could come into a city and negotiate your way in with 12 weeks of paid leave already.
Well, it's
Come
a
on.
It's a county.
Okay, county, city,
Well, what do you- look
state
at-
agency at all, any way, shape, or form. I didn't know you could do that.
Scott Mitnick did.
Wow.
Well, you can if it's Sutter County
Well, okay, so that brings us to a point for
or
Dave
Yuba
Shaw.
City.
If we come to Dave and we don't have time to go to these meetings, do you have any pull at the county, Dave, that we could send you over there in our behalf? Because we elected you.
Well, as an elected official, yes, I can go, but it's the speaking capacity. When I get there, I'm still just a resident of Sutter County. I'm just like everyone else. But what we can do at the city level is try to make sure that we are doing the stuff that is physically responsible and prudent.
Okay.
According to our budget, because not knowing Sutter County's budget in depth, I can't really speak to that side. But on the city side, that's where we have to look and say, this person wants X number of dollars. Well, you know what? Our budget will only bear this. And as business owners, you know this, Jason, when the budget doesn't bear it, you may have the ideal candidate, but you have to go, you know what? I just simply can't afford you. So you have to send them down to the next municipality and get the right person you can for the right dollar in.
Let them go broke first.
That's what you have to do.
Hey, Dave, have you ever gone into a job where you had 12 weeks vacation?
I'm self-employed and I still don't have 12 weeks of vacation. I keep asking my wife and she keeps telling me no.
That's because you're too busy, right?
Exactly.
Well, but now what I'm getting to here, Dave, is would you be willing to do that on the behalf of the people? Is go and granted, you can only speak as a Sutter County resident, but the fact is they know that you got 4,000 or 5,000 votes to get elected, and that you have that kind of backing from the people, and you know as well as I do that it's going to hold more water than just me going down there and saying, hey, you know what, I'm upset about this, yada yada yada. If you go down there, they know that you're, whether it counts or not, they know that you're an elected servant, and that you're there on behalf of the people. And whenever you speak, it's going to carry a little bit more weight, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it will be naturally implied that it does.
Exactly.
Whether or not I'm there speaking in an official capacity or not. And it's really a delicate balance, and we talked about this in some meetings that we've had together. And back to the very basics, and you guys walk right into where I'm going. Usually, to talk to elected officials, you either have to go to a fundraiser event, or you're lucky if you're able to see them, to get 10 minutes with them without them trying to educate you or tell you what is in their best interest. We're just the opposite. We already have forums set up to where people can come and talk to us. Because, Jason, if you come to me as one person and say, I'm concerned about this, well, it's on my radar. If I have 100 people come to me at the same issue, now we've got a different problem going on. I need to see if we've got something we can do about it. And with that, you can't get to people one at a time. We're having an open forum this tomorrow night, Monday night, at Stillhouse Coffee, 5:30 to 7:30. And it's not for me to tell you what's the best for you. It's for you to tell me what you need addressed at the city. I want you also to meet me and find out about me and hear about some of these platforms. But that's what tomorrow night's about. After I'm elected, we're not going to stop these. We're going to continue to have these, but we're not going to have them at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock in the morning when people are working. We want to get to the average person, which we all are here in Yuba City, that works for a living and has precious time, and make it beneficial to come out once a month, once a quarter, at a location that's somewhere close to their neighborhood, and be there for an hour or two, and we'll have a topic of the quarter or topic of the month. And it might be public safety. It might be something going on with the county that relates to the city. But it's getting out and finding out what's important to people. So,
Okay,
yes.
about the staff, isn't that hard on the staff?
The staff works for the council as far as the administrative staff.
Dave, have you ever been to a Sutter County Board of Supervisors meeting?
Yes, I have.
Did anything stick out to you about the people that were there at 3 p.m.?
There wasn't that
It's mostly staff.
There you go.
It's mostly staff.
It's mostly staff.
Get back to the basics of government and why it was formed, and it was in its infancy. It's there for the people, and you're there to serve the people, and it's not meant to be a full-time job, and you're meant to be there to represent people and let people come in and have a voice to be heard. We've making it so darn difficult for people to have their voice heard. That's why we've got to go to some extra measures so that we are hearing from the people. And it's not me telling you what you need to hear. I need to hear the other side. So when I'm elected in about 6 weeks, that's what I want to bring to the table. Not just my expertise, but I want to be listening to what the residents of Yuba City care about, what's important to them. Because the city may think that Project A is the most important thing in the books, but the residents may say Project B is much more important. And so we have to take all that in consideration.
I think they just let them know that Project B, the annexation, was a little less important than what they thought it was.
Well, when you go through all the projects and you look at everything that's before them, the city tried to bring a sales tax initiative, and they wanted it on a simple majority, for services, not specific. And I have sat down with the city and told them explicitly, I cannot support that. The first thing you have to do is go through the budget. If we've done everything in the budget that we can possibly do, then we can look at sales tax. But then you explain to them why it's needed and you restrict it. And if you do a good job of explaining that to the people and understanding that, hey, we're going to put a sales tax initiative on the ballot, and it's all going for public safety, and it's going for repairing our roads, none can be diverted to administration or anything else, the people will do it. But if you go in and you say it's just for general services, no, I can't support that.
So, coming in here, we just got a text in that says the staff expects their recommendations to be accepted. They're used to running the show over at City Hall right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can all agree on that. I think that's really what they expect. They expect whenever they give a recommendation that, by gosh, that's what's going to happen, and we're going to cram it down your throat. And the city council's been on board with that. I think that's something that really needs to not necessarily stop, but really be scrutinized over about what they want and what they want it for, and whether we can afford it or not. I mean, that's a big issue right now, is just whether we can afford it or not.
Absolutely. Let's take the initiative they just did a couple of weeks ago for the $26 million in bonds for the wastewater. Okay. Staff recommendation was to, go ahead and issue those and everything. But what you do not hear coming out of the council is the specific questions that need to understand. The staff does a good job in putting together a condensed report, but that's the staff's version. Then we have to listen to what the residents say and listen to what their concerns are and formulate our own questions. Questions I have that are, more specific because of what I do for a living in my industry is, okay, we're issuing $26 million in bonds. Great. How are they callable? When are they callable? What is their interest rate? What is our fees for all doing this? What is the debt service for this? You don't hear those questions coming from the council. It's just, we need to fix the wastewater treatment, and I get that. And we need to issue $26 million to do that. Okay, that's one option, but at the end of the day, there's $1 million a year in debt service that just got thrust upon the residents of Yuba City. Thus, your water rates have gone up, your sewer rates have gone up, your garbage rates are going up too. But you put all those together, most of our residents, a lot of them are on fixed income. And when we hit this wall, I'm sorry, we live in a real life, not a sweet life. And we have to drive this home to the fact that we can't just simply fix our infrastructure and provide more services for the residents on the backs of the residents on fixed income. And I've said it from day one. Robin does a great job with inside the budget over at City Hall, but that direction comes down from the council and the city manager. The direction's got to change at the top, and we've got to reallocate and figure out where we can more appropriately spend the funds that we're entrusted with to provide the services and not basically tax and rate our residents to death.
And not once, just to throw it out there, not once have I ever heard one of the city councilmen present say, what are we going to be on the hook for with these bonds? What is the interest rate? When are they renewable? On any of this stuff I've never heard before. So, that's why I believe that you're the man for the job, and I think we all know you're the man for the job. Because we need different aspects in there. We need a construction guy who can hold the public works and engineering departments accountable. We need a fire guy who can hold the fire department accountable. We need a money and cents guy, dollar and cents guy that can hold the city accountable of, okay, we don't have the money, and this is not a good way to get money for us because we're on the hook for paying too much back. And this is what needs to happen at the city council level, is somebody who has our interest in mind whenever we can't understand it. And, and not just say, well, it's too complicated for you to understand. That's why we're not asking any questions. We're just approving it. Because that's what we have now, is they'll tell you it's too complicated for us to understand.
We're too stupid to sort it out.
We're too stupid to sort it out, and we don't have a law degree. So, by God, you obviously can't understand it.
What happened to that guy? I haven't seen a single sign. Nothing.
They're going up.
They are?
Are they?
Yeah. He's got a couple up.
Bradley.
Brad Westmoreland.
Brad Westmoreland.
Yes. He's just...
Who told us that we could not understand the Constitution because we didn't have a law degree. Because apparently the Constitution was only written for people that had a law degree, and you can't understand it if you don't have a law degree.
Well, there's a lot more that goes along with that, I'm sure. There's a lot of other things that you can't understand if you don't have a law degree. If you understand, you can't understand any of the budget stuff or any of the water stuff. And I'm tired of being told that we can't understand it. I'd rather, this is an easy way to explain it, and this is, if you can't understand it.
It's a cop-out. They don't want to explain it.
It is.
They're just telling you, oh, you're so pretty.
and guys, I've been...
So pretty.
I swear I'm going to leave here today
In other words,
listening
you're
to music
stupid.
and watching Warner Brothers, I tell you.
And you know what Dennis is going to say on November 7th? That's all, folks.
Well, all I know is he's getting a case of Kleenex. I'm not going to just send him a box. I'm not going to be stingy. I'll send him a case.
What I was going to say and follow up with the last issue there is I've been in these council meetings. I've been to the budget meeting. I've kind of just sat back and almost laughed under my breath a little bit at the budget meeting that things need to be explained for the new people in the room. It's kind of like, I have an accounting degree. I understand this. It's not, over my head. I do know that some of the councilmen do go into depth with what their understanding is on what they're looking at, but I bring a different expertise to the table. And so I think that there is money in the budget, and we have to find it. I'm going to leave you on the last one that's really quick, Jason, and that is when a person volunteers or steps into elected position, they should bring 3 things to the table. And we talked about this in previous answer: time, talent, and treasury. That's the 3 T's that you bring. Time, absolutely. You don't go into this lightly. Talent, I'm willing to bring my expertise. And treasury, my wife and I have vastly funded this campaign ourselves just because we've been blessed enough to be able to do this. But the lowest hanging fruit on the table is, if you're going to be in leadership, you have to sacrifice right from the top to begin with. I know that Mark has addressed this. I know that Stacy has addressed this. We do things in private, but the 4th item on my piece that we have out with our platform is very simple: no pensions for councilmen. Government was not meant to be a full-time position. Why are we increasing our unfunded pension liability? Why do we have basically 5 people on the council now that are, as I call them, double dippers, because they've already retired from the state? Now they're building a second retirement for being on the council. Let's just take the lowest hanging fruit, send a good message to the community that we've got to tighten our belts so that we can go forward. And the first thing is get rid of this nonsense with pensions for council people, pensions for clerks, pensions for people that are elected to serve, not the ones that are there as a full-time employment, but the ones that are capable of having a full-time job or retired from full public service that are simply serving as an elected official. Those need to go away. That's the lowest hanging fruit.
It almost sounds like you're saying lead by example.
That would be
What
the
a
novel
concept.
idea.
Imagine that.
I got to get into the events coming up. We got to get that slammed in here before we end for the day. So the first thing, because the very first event we're actually going to this evening at 7 o'clock, there's an event, and it's about blowing of the trumpets to signal the new year. So if anybody follows God's calendar, there is a calendar in the Bible. It's not a Jewish calendar. It's God's calendar for all of God's people. And this is the beginning of the Feast of Trumpets. It's to awaken the people to pray and to come into alignment with God. And so Pastor Dave spoke last night about the corruption that is rampant, not only nationwide, but locally. Sutter County has a lot of issues, and we hear about those. Lou goes into detail as he did yesterday, and everybody needs to go to One Eye Blind Media and listen to Live with Lou, the show that aired yesterday, and specifically believe it was the 3rd hour where it gets very
about an hour 24 into the show.
Okay, so everybody go to listen to Live with Lou at One Eye Blind Media on YouTube. So tonight, this event, the blowing of the trumpets, also the sounding of the shofars, it's going to be at 7 p.m. It's going to kick off a 2-week tent revival that's being hosted by Praise Chapel at 398 Ayler Avenue. Lots of local community churches are coming together to congregate and to go to this event. It's significant for our region specifically because of those things.
I just want to say one thing and add to that is that Dave last night was very excited about it, and I love this man. I really do. He's a very, very, very well spoken, very much in the community, and he said last night that it's one of the first times that a lot of the churches in this community have actually come together on anything and are going to do this all together. So I think it's going to be a really, really good, exciting event. So just wanted to throw that out there that, with Dave being excited about it, I'm pretty excited about it, because if we can get all the churches together to band together, that's going to be really something. And we really have a chance to take our community back. I mean, I'm just really excited about, I'm sorry to steal your thunder real quick.
No, go.
But just with the election that we have a sheriff that we know is going to get in there and going to do the right thing with Brandon Barnes. We have 3 of the best people that I've ever seen run for city council, and I've ran myself. And these guys have it far above what I had. And I'm really excited about that. And I mean, just everything coming together with Missler running a write-in campaign, and we believe he can win. with the three city councilmen we're probably going to get, we're really pushing to get over in Yuba City. This tent revival coming. It's time to turn Yuba City around, and I believe it can be done in Sutter County. So just throwing that out there real quick. I'm sorry, I just wanted to get it in there.
Right out from Proverbs 29, verse 2, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when a wicked man rules, the people groan. We have three
groaning for a while.
Three righteous candidates for Yuba City Council that we have vetted. We've put through our vigorous process. We are presenting these people as your choice to fill that Yuba City Council and to change the makeup of the Yuba City Council. And Dave Shaw, Mark Boomgarden, Stacy Brookman are going to be the three that will get it done. They will work well together. They've communicated with each other. They are in alignment with the majority of the things that they're looking at. They have similar mindsets. They will work well together. And we've separated the wheat from the chaff. They are the chosen ones, our dream team. So tonight, that's kind of what it's about. It's about, and we heard our favorite phrase from Pastor Dave last night. I was so excited. He said, show up for the showdown. And when he was talking about the righteous need to show up, stand together in prayer and in repentance and in asking God to remember mercy in time of judgment. And he was speaking specifically about, stand up as Christians. Stand up at the polls, have a voice, cast your vote, but vote for righteous people so we can have those righteous people in those positions of leadership. So that was the message. Show up for the showdown. It kicks off tonight, 7 p.m. Come out to Praise Chapel at 398 Ayler Avenue. And Pastor Dave will be there to kick this event off. He's going to be there, the speaker tonight, to get this thing going. But it's a tent revival. It's going to go on for 2 weeks. But don't miss tonight. You need to hear my favorite pastor in the world, Pastor Dave Bryan.
Also, one other thing to add to that is, Pastor Dave isn't afraid to assign blame to people. And we're in the mess we're in because we let it happen. Everybody out there has a right to vote and doesn't vote. You let this happen. I let this happen. I didn't vote up until I was, 30?
30-something.
37, 38.
I was 18.
Well, and I mean, so...
I had to wait till I was 21.
Well, but the fact is we all let this happen. And we're all accountable, and the only way we're going to turn it around is if we all get active and we all put the right people in there. And the bad thing is you normally don't get the right people running. You have the right people running. It's not I'm going to vote for the lesser of two evils anymore. I'm going to get to vote for people who really want to be in there and really want to change things. So I'm going to turn it over to you for the last minute there, Dave, and close us out, buddy, with anything you want to say about what you've got going on.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for having me today. I want to thank all the listeners. This has truly been a really humbling experience. And to piggyback on it, I would say a leader should have a servant's heart. Go to John 13 and see what Christ did when he washed the feet of the disciples. That'll give you a good picture of what a leader should be in the servant's heart. Coming up, I've got an event at headquarters. I believe October 5th, is when it's coming up.
Yes.
So look forward to seeing everyone there. Come out. I am only doing one fundraiser myself. It's coming up September 29th. Go on to Facebook. Follow me, Dave Shaw, for Yuba City Council. You'll see my face. It's all over Yuba City. You'll know that it's me. Look at the event. It's only one event that we're doing to raise campaign funds, and it's going to be a great evening. So look forward to seeing everyone there. And then Monday night, tomorrow night, Stillhouse Coffee is the first of a series that we're doing throughout the city, and we'll have all that stuff posted right there on Facebook. So thank you, guys.
At your Stillhouse Coffee, what does that cost to get in?
Nothing. It's free.
Nothing. It's free to get in, free to meet Dave Shaw. I suggest you go.